party on the phone, and she said describing what the children look like. I'm trying. I'm really trying here. There was a Hispanic couple that was following her around Michael's, and they were on the phone with a third party, and they were walking closely behind her, and they were saying, yes, a white child, fair complexion, about 4 years old. There's another. One's about four years old, and one's about a year old. We're right behind them. So Katie, she hears this. They're not talking low enough. And in her world, she's aware as a mom that they are behind her, and they are just making all these call outs on her children. And she decides that she has to get out of there. She said that they trailed her through the store and through the checkout line. And she said that they were holding hands and they walked out into the parking lot. And while she said that the couple were holding hands and walking around the parking lot. And while holding hands with each other, they did several loops around her car. While holding hands, they did several loops around while looking at the children. And then one of them reached up and tried to grab the stroller. However, by the grace of God, that is literally what Katie says in her video, which I will show you later. She said, by the grace of God, there was an elderly man nearby. And he said, hey, what are you guys doing? And they got scared and they ran off. Katie was absolutely shaken by this experience. Her children, 4 years old, 1 year old, they were almost taken by these random people. And she was so lucky that that man was there that day that saved her. Katie went to the police, as she should, and she said, hey, I don't want to prosecute anybody. I just want to let you guys know what happened. And the police, they take her report. She, tells this whole story that they were trailing her in the Michael's craft store, giving descriptions of her children to a third party on the phone. She leaves out the part about them reaching for the card. This came out later in her Instagram story. But she tells them the rest of the story, and the police say, okay, we'll look into this. And she's like, well, thank you. But after that, Katie is not happy with the police's efforts. Maybe she just wants to raise awareness to other moms, or, maybe this is an opportunity to talk about it on Instagram and get a couple likes. So she goes online and she tells the story again, but this time she leaves in the part where the elderly man scared them off when they grabbed the stroller. Now, this video gets back to the police department. It had over 4 million views. 2020, 4 million views, that's a lot. It gets back to the police department and they say, well, hold on. They reached for the stroller? And Katie's like, yes, they reached for the stroller. And they said, well, somebody following you at a craft store and then somebody actually making a motion to... I can't believe where this is going. Somebody actually making the motion to take the stroller. This is actually a really big deal. And so they decide to reopen the investigation. Sadie and Eddie Martinez, they met in San Francisco a couple decades prior to this. See, they're American-born people who their parents are from Nicaragua, okay? They're Americans through and through. They're born in America. They meet when they're younger, and then around 2000, this happened in 2020, they get together in the 2000s, and they get married. They move 40 miles north of San Francisco to a nice little quiet town called Petaluma. And that's where they live. On December 14th, Sadie's child comes up to her with her phone and she says, Mom, is this you? There was a news report where the local news was looking for this, Spanish couple supposedly at a Michael's that tried to kidnap a child. And Sadie is looking at the phone because she was in Michael's earlier that day. She was trying to make a centerpiece for a baby Jesus in a manger. She was determined to make this baby Jesus that day. And now she's looking at the phone and the police are looking for her. This is kind of unbelievable. So she hops on the internet. She had a message from the police department on Facebook. And they said, Sadie and Eddie Martinez, we need to speak with you. And Sadie's looking at the computer and looking at the phone and looking at the message. And she's like, is this a joke? How am I on the news? How are they messaging me on Facebook? She's like, okay. They consult a few people as well as someone who was a family friend that was actually an attorney. And the attorney says, well, listen. You guys didn't do anything wrong. Just go talk to the police and figure out what is going on. Sadie, after getting the message on Facebook, she actually goes to the police station and she tells them the story of what happened to her that day. She was supposed to be making this, centerpiece of baby Jesus in a manger. And she was determined to get it right. It was going to be beautiful. She was going to get the baby Jesus. She's going to get some little leaves. She's going to get some little snowflakes, everything. She had a vision in her head of what she was going to make. And that day she threw on some sweatpants. She put her hair in a ponytail and she said, Eddie, you're taking me to Michael's. So she's in the store and she's picking out every piece intricately. Sometimes she's not finding the exact things that she looked for, but she is determined to get it right. This thing is gonna be beautiful. And while she's so zeroed in, looking for these pieces to complete her baby Jesus centerpiece, she doesn't notice this woman with, 2 kids that's just staring at her out of the corner of her eye. Sadie she didn't even notice this woman. She just got all of her stuff. She went to the checkout and then she left. There was no footage of her in the parking lot. There was no footage of her trailing behind the woman in the store. The CCTV footage came out. Sadie's story, by all accounts, matched up. Things got a little bit worse for Katie Sorensen as well because she didn't realize that these were 2 very beloved members of the community. I mean, Sadie was making something for, a community event. And then also her husband, Eddie, he was a well-liked UPS driver in the neighborhood. Everybody knew her husband. They go to local restaurants. They tip well. They're kind to everyone. Everyone's, hey, Sadie. Hey, Eddie. But Katie didn't know this. Later in an interview, Sadie actually said, Katie probably should have done a little bit more homework and picked different characters for her story before she went public with it. I cannot get over the way that Sadie just bossed through this whole thing. The police look heavily into this. The CCTV footage does not match up with Katie's story. Okay, and now that I've told you both sides of this, can I just say it? Can I just reiterate this one more time? First of all, you think the kidnappers are in a Michael's? Yeah, we're gonna go to the craft store where grandmas frequent. We're gonna go pick us up some kids. What? And then second of all, she picks the first non-white people that she sees, a couple. She just thinks they're trailing behind her saying, he's about 4 years old, fair-skinned, blonde hair. We're closing up on him. Yeah, we're gonna make our move in the parking lot. We're gonna get this fucking kid. I got Sadie with me. She's got eyes on him. She's gonna distract the mom. To literally walking behind the mom within an earshot saying, yeah, Sadie's gonna distract the mom. And then when she's not looking, I'm gonna grab that kid. Oh no, our plan was foiled. There was an old man in the parking lot. This is just the dumbest story. Now, do you understand why I've waited to show you Katie Sorensen's video? Because it just makes it exponentially funnier.
Monday of this week, my children were the targets of attempted kidnap. Which is such a weird thing to even vocalize, but it happened, and I want to share that story with you in an effort to raise awareness as to what signs to look for, and to just encourage parents to be more aware of their surroundings and what is going on around them. I think right now we are so distracted by everything that's going on in the world that we are kind of have our guards up so much about masks and wanting to keep our children safe that way that we're forgetting the most important way to keep them safe, and that is with us, and to not have them taken. So I'm going to share a story in an effort to raise that awareness, but I'm not ready. This is hard for me. I'm not ready to share this story.
I'm going to share a story in effort to raise that awareness, but I just want everyone to know that I'm not ready. This is hard for me, and I'm not ready, but here's the story.
But I know it's important, and I would rather be uncomfortable and awkward and get the message out sooner than wait until I feel composed, because I don't know if I'll ever be composed talking about this. And I'm not gonna wait to tell the story because I want to get the message out, and I don't know if I'll ever be okay. So here's the story. Make sure you like and subscribe. Monday, like I said, my children were the targets of attempted kidnap. We went to...
Dude. That is the second time that she didn't say kidnapping. Am I tripping? You're not the victim of kidnap. It's kidnapping. Am I missing something here?
Targets of attempted kidnap. We went to Michael's craft store just to run a few errands.
How are you racist and dumb?
Make some homemade gifts. Very quick trip. I have not taken my children out a lot as of late. but this was just a situation where we just needed